Good day to you, and welcome back to the podcast, Catch It, A New Perception. My name is Ketuk. Thinking about how we continue to move forward, how we continue to get to know our higher selves, how we continue to treat ourselves better, how we continue to treat others better. It's interesting. Speaking with someone today, speaking with someone yesterday about selfishness. And my thought goes to one of the people that was being talked about being selfish. And they talked about this person as if they believe that they benefit from being selfish, which I think a lot of people do. I think it's where selfishness comes from. I think that people are misled by things that they believe. I think that, not always, obviously. I think sometimes people are misled by things that they believe. And believing that selfishness is in any way like self-care or self-love, I think, is a delusion. I don't believe that selfishness does anything for our own greater good. I get that people think because, I'm going to do this, and they do it for themselves, and it's all about themselves, and, I'm going to make this money, and I'm going to do this. I think that they live within an illusion that they are doing something for themselves that is good. When we do self-care, or even possibly some people, one guy I was talking to uses the term self-love. I like the term self-care. And I'm not sure what it is. I like the term love. I like what it is. I like what it means to me. I like how it feels. I like everything about love. I think it's a wonderful word. I think it's an incredible emotion. And I think it's worth telling people that you love them. I think love is really, really sweet. What I'm talking about for me with this terminology is not self-love, although I can appreciate the man I was speaking to and how he used that terminology, and what he meant, I think, was similar to what I'm talking about. And it's self-care, not selfishness. I don't know people who are served by selfishness. Selfishness has to do with egotism, maybe believing that you're better than someone else, maybe because you're different, maybe because you have something they don't have, maybe because they've done something you haven't done, or you've done something they haven't done. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't carry selfishness the way I once did. And even when I did have much more selfish behavior in my life, selfish actions in my life, which a number of decades ago I was full of it, and probably plenty of times since then when I haven't recognized it. Even when I had selfishness in my life every day, there were times where I was giving. For me, there's a difference between selfishness and self-care, and when I am selfish, I cannot be giving. I can be in self-care and be giving at the same time. And I think about how sometimes I have been offered to be able to help some people through some of the volunteering I do, some of the things that I do, some speaking engagements. I've been offered the ability to possibly help other people. So I'm willing to give through sharing my experience. And I think that that's valuable. I think that life experience is extremely valuable. So I share my experience. And I think that that is good. I believe I benefit from that. I believe that there is self-care through sharing my experience with people. It's not selfish. I may be attempting to help other people, and I may be attempting to give them information, and I may be sharing my experience for different reasons, whether it's a speaking engagement, whether it's an individual conversation, whatever that may be, I may be doing it for many different reasons. And within whatever those reasons are, I have the ability to be able to have self-care and also be giving at the same time. And it's interesting because sometimes when I'm going into, say, a speaking engagement, I ask for some guidance that these people will hear what they need to hear. And I ask for guidance in different ways when I'm doing things like that. I believe that to be healthy. So it's interesting because I don't want to be ego-driven going into that, thinking these people need to hear what I have to say. What I have to say is really important, so you should listen to me. I don't ever want any of those things because that becomes ego-driven. That is selfish to me. So the approach that I take is going to be so huge with so many things. And I need to be conscious of that approach. I need to be aware of the type of approach that I will make so that I'm not ego-driven. It doesn't become selfish. It's about giving. And on the back end, as I walk out, is where I receive. And I'm not talking about when people may come up to me and say, hey, I appreciate the way you came across. I really appreciate the way you said this and what you said, and I can relate to what you're saying. I look forward to being where you're at. I have work to do. Whatever that may be, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the reflection. The reflection I have as I exit. The reflection I have on that speaking engagement the next day. When I'm thinking about, oh, yeah, I said this, didn't I? Wow. Yeah, I think I need to do more of that. I've been doing it. I think I can do more of it. So I may talk about the way that I once acted or reacted in the world and how I was once very selfish. Then I talk about how I'm more into self-care and I'm more into giving and I'm more into a way of love than selfishness. I think that there's certain acts that I need to take and certain actions. What I'm saying when I say acts, I'm saying certain actions I need to take to be able to get there. I had the chance to get out on my motorcycle today. It's a beautiful day in the upper Midwest, and I was able to get out on my bike and enjoy this weather. And it's wonderful. And that is some self-care. That is a type of self-care for me, is to just go out and be one with the Creator. To just listen. It's kind of like meditating. I have a mantra I do, and I sit and I meditate quietly. So I listen for the Great Spirit to come to me. I listen for my spirit guides to come to me. Possibly your spirit guides to come to me. Again, it's self-care. I don't think it's selfish that I take the time to do yoga and meditate each day. I think that that's self-care. I don't think that it's selfish that I'm doing this podcast. Do I get something out of it? At the end of the day, I do. And what I get out of it is the fact that I believe I'm helping people, possibly, that people are receiving something to help change the way they think. And the reason I believe that is because people have shared that with me. So I believe them when they tell me that. So that helps me because it makes me feel good that I can share my experience. This podcast also helps me because it helps me to reflect on the things I'm talking about. Am I doing this as well as what I could? This is what I say I do. How well is the follow-through with this? Am I able to follow through? I think that the reflection of my life is a big deal as I'm walking through one door into the next. As I walk down a new hallway, as I explore a new room, all figuratively, for the most part, maybe at moments, literally. And so I need to be able to explore something new, see something new, know that I'm not being selfish doing it. I have a hard time going to a supervisor at work or a manager at work or an executive and saying something when it looks like I'm going to benefit quite a bit. I don't have a hard time when I go to someone and everyone will benefit. That is easy because then it's about unity. Then it doesn't appear to be selfish. Now, when I benefit the most and other people may benefit, that's what I'm talking about it being hard, is it looks like I'm going to benefit more than other people possibly. So when I go in, it looks like it's very self-serving motives. I don't need that. I know what my motives are going in. What other people's perception of my motive is does matter to me. Maybe you say it shouldn't. It does. I would like people to see that my motives are the way that I intend them. And that's not always true. Many times in my life, people think that I have different motives than what I do. And at the moment, I'll accept it. And then I think about it and I'm like, that sucks that they see me like that, because that's not who I am. And sometimes that's hard. How do I keep my egotism out of it and not go back and fire at them and say, that's not who I am. You can't even see who I am. That's egotism. That's self-serving because I want them to see me in a certain light. So it's selfishness. I don't want that in my life today. If they ever see me different, great. If they don't, oh well. Maybe I need to make a different approach next time, because people didn't perceive that approach very well. The greatest thing I love about doing this podcast possibly is each and every episode, I realize I have so much to learn. I come into this lifetime to learn and to teach, and what I am to teach is none of my business. What I need to take out of this podcast is what I can learn. How I can get to know my higher self. How I can become less selfish. How I can become more giving with self-care and taking care of myself along the way. I want to learn to listen to my spirit guides. I want to learn to listen to that great spirit. I want to allow my soul, my spirit, to change. That is getting to know my higher self, is when it changes and I'm aware of it, when I'm conscious of it. So those of you that were asking in the first episode what it means to get to know your higher self, I hope you're listening into the 6th season to hear what I have to say about it. Looking forward to next time. Live in harmony with and use the bounty of the land to bring kindness to the world.